who sold it at an exorbitant price to Cardinal Bembo, a celebrated antiquary, historiographer of the Republic of Venice, and afterwards librarian of St. Mark's. After his death in 1547 the Asiatic tablet was acquired by the House of Mantua, in whose museum it remained until 1630, when troops of Ferdinand II captured the city of Mantua. Several early writers on the subject have assumed that the tablet was demolished by the ignorant soldiery for the silver it contained. The assumption, however, was erroneous. The tablet fell into the hands of Cardinal Pava, who presented it to the Duke of Savoy, who in turn presented it to the King of Sardinia. When the French conquered Italy in 1797 the tablet was carried to Paris. In 1809, Alexandre Lenoir, writing of the Mensa Isiaca, said it was on exhibition at the Bibliothèque Nationale. Upon the establishment of peace between the two countries it was returned to Italy. In his Guide to Northern Italy, Karl Baedeker describes the Mensa Isiaca as being in the center of Gallery 2 in the Museum of Antiquities at Turin. A faithful reproduction of the original tablet was made in 1559 by the celebrated Esificus of Parma, and a copy of the engraving was given by the Chancellor of the Duke of Bavaria to the Museum of Hieroglyphics. Athanasius Kircher describes the tablet as 5 palms long and 4 wide. W. N. Westcott says it measures 50 by 30 inches. It was made of bronze and decorated with encaustic or smalt enamel and silver inlay. Fosbroek adds the figures are cut very shallow, and the contour of most of them is encircled by threads of silver. The bases upon which the figures were seated or reclined, and left blank in the prints, were of silver and are torn away. See Encyclopedia of Antiquities. Those familiar with the fundamental principles of Hermetic philosophy will recognize in the Mensa Isiaca the key to Chaldean, Egyptian, and Greek theology. In his Antiquities, the learned Benedictine, Father Monfalcon, admits his inability to cope with the intricacies of its symbolism. He therefore doubts that the emblems upon the tablet possess any significance worthy of consideration and ridicules Kircher, declaring him to be more obscure than the tablet itself. Lauranius Pignorius reproduced the tablet in connection with a descriptive essay in 1605, but his timidly advanced explanations demonstrated his ignorance concerning the actual interpretation of the figures. In his Oedipus Iptychus, published in 1654, Kircher attacked the problem with characteristic avidity. Being peculiarly qualified for such a task by years of research in matters pertaining to the secret doctrines of antiquity, and with the assistance of a group of eminent scholars, Kircher accomplished much towards an exposition of the mysteries of the tablet. The master secret, however, eluded even him, as Eliphas Levi has shrewdly noted in his History of Magic. The learned Jesuit, writes Levi, divined that it contained the hieroglyphic key to sacred alphabets, though he was unable to develop the explanation. It is divided into 3 equal compartments. Above are the 12 houses of heaven and below are the corresponding distributions of labor work periods throughout the year, while in the middle place are 21 sacred signs answering to the letters of the alphabet. In the midst of all is a seated figure of the pantomorphic Iyx, emblem of universal being and corresponding as such to the Hebrew Yod, or to that unique letter from which all the other letters were formed. The Iyx is encircled by the Ophite triad, answering to the 3 mother letters of the Egyptian and Hebrew alphabets. On the right are the Ebomorphic and Serapian triads. On the left are those of Nephthys and Hecate, representing active and passive, fixed and volatile, fructifying fire and generating water. Each pair of triads in conjunction with the center produces a septenary, and a septenary is contained in the center. The 3 septenaries furnish the absolute number of the 3 worlds, as well as the complete number of primitive letters, to which a complementary sign is added, like 0 to the 9 numerals. Levi's hint may be construed to mean that the 21 figures in the center section of the table represent the 21 major trumps of the tarot cards. If this be so, is not the 0 card, cause of so much controversy, the nameless crown of the Supreme Mind, the crown being symbolized by the hidden triad in the upper part of the throne in the center of the table? Might not the first emanation of this Supreme Mind be well symbolized by a juggler or magician with the symbols of the 4 lower worlds spread out on a table before him, the rod, the sword, the cup, and the coin? Thus considered, The 0 card belongs nowhere among the others but is in fact the fourth dimensional point from which they all emanated and consequently is broken up into the 21 cards letters which, when gathered together, produce the 0. The cipher appearing upon this card would substantiate this interpretation, for the cipher, or circle, is emblematic of the superior sphere from which issue the lower worlds, powers, and letters. Westcott carefully collected the all too meagre theories advanced by various authorities and in 1887 published his now extremely rare volume, which contains the only detailed description of the Asiatic tablet published in English since Humphreys translated Montfaucon's worthless description in 1721. After explaining his reticence to reveal that which Levi evidently felt was better left concealed, Westcott sums up his interpretation of the tablet as follows: the diagram of Levi, by which he explains the mystery of the tablet, shows the upper region divided into the 4 seasons of the year, each with 3 signs of the zodiac, and he has added the 4-lettered sacred name, the Tetragrammaton, assigning Jah to Aquarius, that is Canopus, he to Taurus, that is Apis, Thou to Leo, that is Mamta, and he final to Typhon. Note the cherubic parallel, man, bull, lion and eagle. The 4th form is found either as scorpion or eagle depending upon the occult good or evil intention in the demonic zodiac. The snake replaces the scorpion. The lower region he ascribes to the 12 simple Hebrew letters, associating them with the 4 quarters of the horizon. Compare the Sefer Yetzirah, Cap. V. Sec 1. The central region he ascribes to the solar powers and the planetary. In the middle we see above, the sun, marked ops, and below it is a Solomon's seal, above a cross. A double triangle hexapla, 1 light and 1 dark triangle superposed, the whole forming a sort of complex symbol of Venus. To the Ibomorphos he gives the 3 dark planets, Venus, Mercury, and Mars placed around a dark triangle erect, denoting fire. To the Nephthn triad he gives 3 light planets, Saturn, Luna, and Jupiter, around a light inverted triangle which denotes water. There is a necessary connection between water, female power, passive principle, Bina, and Sephirotic mother, and bride. See the Kabbalah by Mathers. Note the ancient signs for the planets were all composed of a cross, solar disk and crescent. Venus is a cross below a sun disk, Mercury, a disk with a crescent above and cross below, Saturn is a cross whose lowest point touches the apex of the crescent. Jupiter is a crescent whose lowest point touches the left-hand end of a cross. All these are deep mysteries. Note that Levi in his original plate transposed Serapis and Hecate, but not the Apis Noir and Apis blank, perhaps because of the head of bees being associated by him with Hecate. Note that having referred the 12 simple letters to the lower, the 7 devil must correspond to the central region of the planets, and then the great triad ANS. The mother letters representing air, water, and fire remain to be pictured, around S the central links, or Yod, by the Ophionian triad the 2 serpents and the Leonine sphinx. Levi's word OPS in the center is the Latin ops, terra, genius of the earth. And the Greek ops, Rhea, or Kubal Sibyl, often drawn as a goddess seated in a chariot drawn by lions. She is crowned with turrets, and holds a key. See the Asiatic tablet. Insert. Levi's key to the Bambine table. From Levi's History of Magic. The Asiatic tablet, writes Levi, is a key to the ancient Book of Thoth, which has survived to some extent the lapse of centuries and is pictured to us in the still comparatively ancient set of Taroki cards. To him the Book of Thoth was a resume of the esoteric learning of the Egyptians. After the decadence of their civilization, this lore became crystallized in a hieroglyphic form as the tarot. This tarot having become partially or entirely forgotten or misunderstood, its pictured symbols fell into the hands of the sham diviners, and of the providers of the public amusement by games of cards. The Modem Tarot, or Taroki pack of cards consists of 78 cards, of which 22 form a special group of trumps, of pictorial design. The remaining 56 are composed of 4 suits of 10 numerals and 4 court cards, king, queen, knight, and knave or valet. The suits are swords militarism, cups sacerdocy, clubs or wands agriculture, and shekels or coins commerce, answering respectively to our spades, hearts, clubs and diamonds. Our purpose is with the 22 trumps, These form the special characteristic of the pack and are the lineal descendants of the hieroglyphics of the tarot. These 22 respond to the